You wanted the best. You've got the best podcast. The hottest podcast in the world. The Chris Voss Show, the preeminent podcast with guests so smart you may experience serious brain bleed. The CEOs, authors, thought leaders, visionaries, and motivators. Get ready. Strap yourself in. Keep your hands, arms, and legs inside the vehicle at all times, because you're about to go on a monster education roller coaster with your brain. Now, here's your host, Chris Voss.
Hi, Chris Voss here from the ChrisVossShow.com. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the big show. As always, for 16 years and over 2,300 episodes, we bring you the Chris Voss Show and all that good stuff that goes into it. So be sure to subscribe. Go to goodreads.com/Chris Voss, LinkedIn.com/Chris Voss, Chris Voss 1, the TikTokity, and all those crazy places on the internet. I don't even know if TikTok's going to be around in a month. We should probably look into that. Opinions expressed by guests on the podcast are solely their own and do not necessarily reflect the opinions of the host or the Chris Voss Show. Some guests of the show may buy advertising on the podcast, but it is not an endorsement or review of any kind. Anyway, we're going to be talking about gut health and how you can live better, healthier, and all that sort of good stuff. We're going to get into the deets, as it were. So if you've ever been wondering about this, we often the gut is often referred to as the second brain. Although for some of you eating McDonald's every day, it's probably your first brain. Anyway, we're going to be talking with a lovely young lady today. Dr. Basima Williams is a board-certified family medicine doctor with nearly 30 years of experience in family medicine and 15 years in functional medicine. She is also the creator of feelgoodguthealth.com and myvitamin.com. Welcome to the show, Doc. How are you?
I am great, Chris. Thank you so much for having me on your show and for giving this platform and an opportunity to educate and help people.
So give us any other .coms of the ones I quoted there in the bio?
Those are the most important ones right now.
All right.
Yes,
All right.
Guthealth.com and myvitamin.com.
There you go. So let's start off with myvitamin.com. Give us an overview of what you do there.
Absolutely. So myvitamin.com, it kind of was birthed from the fact that I've been doing functional medicine for 15 years. I've been in practice almost 30, but transitioned because I was just tired of treating disease. And I was really sort of frustrated with just us diagnosing problems and prescribing medications. It didn't sound like I didn't feel like I was really using everything I went to medical school for. So I decided to go into functional medicine and started reversing disease as best as I could, and eventually became certified in functional medicine and started using professional grade supplements. In fact, prior to learning functional medicine, I actually told my patients not to use vitamins because there were so many bad ones out there that had fillers and toxins and did not have what they promised in them. Were not really watched by anyone. And there were studies after studies that sort of proved this. Plus they weren't digested. You were literally pooping them out. So when I started giving my patients these supplements, that we created a company with the professional grade supplements I started using. When I started giving my patients those supplements, we actually had biomarkers that were improving and clinically patients were improving.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, and so really the idea was, why can't everyone have these? Well, one can't have these because there are certain ones that are actually so powerful that you actually do need a doctor watching them.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they really are. They're really good supplements that under the right guidance are very effective. So what I did is I created a whole series like this particular one. This is one of our most popular ones.
Uh-huh.
It's pre-packaged morning packs and evening packs. The reason it's so popular is there's a lot of stressed out people. This particular pack that I have an example of is the Calm and Restore pack. It has all of your foundationals in it. So a really good quality omega-3. For example, our omega-3 is triple distilled. Wow. So all the mercury and all the toxins, most of it is out of there. And also because it's so pure, you're not going to be getting that reflux. I mean, hardly anyone ever gets that reflux of that fish oil taste in their mouth. So really, really, really high quality, very well absorbed. And then the other thing, this one that kind of separates this one from the foundational is it has something in it to help calm your body, your sympathetic nervous system down. We are on sympathetic overdrive in this country. And this really helps calm the sympathetic nervous system down and helps with sleep. So the Calm and Restore, one of our most common packs, we do the brain work for you. We tell you which one to take in the morning, which one do we to take at night, because you don't want to take the night one in the morning and go to bed. So we do that work for you. And, it's kind of cool. This is all you have to travel with, blah, blah, blah. It's been hugely successful. So we want to have a huge impact on people. And this way people can at least have professional grade supplements already divvied out in packs according to what their needs are, and without having to see me, because I'm kind of expensive. Functional medicine doctors, unfortunately, we spend hours with our patients and thousands of dollars. And so not everyone can afford that. Everyone can afford this.
So, I've seen that a lot in, the vitamins that I take. I'll read the label and I'll see a lot of fillers and a lot of interesting stuff that I'm just like, and I've kind of been sensitive to it because I'll do intermittent fasting in the morning. And so I can't have fillers that trigger my insulin response, right? And sometimes you got to be careful, if you take some magnesium in the morning, that there's not fillers in that might trigger that insulin response and break your fast. So yeah, there's a lot of junk that's out there. I like this idea of professional grade quality stuff. And so you found as a doctor that a lot of these were people just not taking vitamins and taking care of their health with making sure they had their standard supplements. Was that contributing to a lot of the disease that you were seeing, that you were having to do the final work on, basically?
I'll never forget some of the x-rays I saw as a resident, which, you're in a hospital like 36 hours in a row. So you see a lot when you're a resident. And I remember seeing these weird shaped things in the colon, on x-ray. And it turns out they were supplements that were not even absorbed. So
what?
That was the first. I'm sure you can Google that. I saw it in real life. I guarantee you I'm sure you can Google that and see that.
I don't know that I want to. Is there?
You can't see the stool, but you see the outline of the colon. You see
okay.
The outline of the supplement.
All right.
The second, so that raised some eyebrows for me in terms of, one, if I'm not absorbing it, why the heck would I put something in my body? And then two, the big study that came out, one of the big studies, more recent studies, I believe it was in 2017, where the district attorney in New York City actually took supplements off the shelves of 5 major marketers. And actually they had a less than 20% of what was promised in their capsules. So people are taking these thinking they're getting CoQ10, but they're getting maybe a little itty bitty bit of CoQ10. The other thing you have to realize is when patients spend $3,000 or $4,000 or $5,000 to see a functional medicine doctor, they've already seen 4 or 5 other doctors. So we're not going to be using things that you're just going to pee out. We're going to be using things that at the cellular level work. If these don't work, I don't think, there's something better. If these don't work, then I think, okay, what else is going on? How bad is their gut? How bad is their mitochondria? Whatever, hormones, whatever it is. But if these don't work, it's not because they're not good. It's because, or absorbed or bioavailable at the cellular level. It's because they weren't. There's something else going on.
Oh, something deeper. So you're getting industrial strength, professional grade. I'm joking on the industrial strength.
No, it's true.
Vitamins and stuff. And I've often wondered about, those gummy things they have? They have the gummy vitamins. They're basically in a gummy. Yeah. Those, I've heard that sometimes those don't break down properly because they're kind of these hard gummy things. I don't know.
Yeah. And and it bothers me. I don't know what else is in them. The abuse potential. If one tastes good, maybe 2 or 3 years better. So there's a lot that I don't like about gummies. So I personally can get around gummies, even with children that I work with. So
nice.
We've got all sorts of fun other things that we can do with these. Now, our supplements, myvitamin.com, is for teens. We have a teen pack, especially the ones going off to college and getting sick after finals week. We want to really focus on their immune system and their foundational needs. And then we also have the daily foundational for women, for men, and for women over 50, for example. So we've got the really good stuff. We've got the calcium with the right other minerals in it that actually help with and support bone reabsorption and matrix. Yeah, and we put the right vitamin D in there with the K2 that's heart protective and also bone protective, immune supporting. I've been doing this for so long. Here's how I came up with this concept. The 2 concepts, the feel good gut health and my vitamin. What I realized is a lot of the patients coming to me, all I did was we're going to push the restart button after we heal your gut, because all of these symptoms that they're having, all these symptoms that people are coming in for and don't know what's going on, the rash, the headache, the joint pain, the bloating, the diarrhea, the constipation, I can only eat these 5 foods and that's it. We hear these things all the time. What we do is we focus on gut health and we support them with the right supplements, and then we see them back. We don't do hardly anything else. And the reason why we do that is we saw that about 80% of patients got better with just that. So then I thought, why not create a course, Feel Good Gut Health, with the idea of educating not just on how to get to good gut health, but to educate why that's important and how the gut affects the rest of your body. Like I had a patient who saw me, she had seen 2 neurologists and her primary care doctor with headaches every single day.
Wow.
And I said, do you sleep with Advil right next to your bedstand so that you can take it before you even get up in the morning? And she said, yes. And now I'm not a genius. That's just a common reoccurring theme with people who struggle from migraines. And once we healed her gut, within 3 months, her headaches had gone down to the point of what she felt like when she took Advil. So we got her off the Advil, obviously, but even with the Advil, her headaches would only be, say, a 5 out of 10. Her normal became a 5 out of 10 without the Advil within 3 months. But within, I can't remember if it was 6 or 9 months, she was headache free. And she could not believe all these drugs that she was put on are gone now.
Wow. Isn't that amazing? So gut health is really important. Like we mentioned early on, it's the second brain. And I think we talked to in the pre-show about this. I believe if your gut's inflamed, if your gut's irritated, it causes brain inflammation. Is that true, or is there where's the knowledge in that, I guess?
That is very true, and that is directly related to diet, and in particular sugar. And sugar, by sugar, what I mean is anything white, processed, simple, carbohydrate. There's 3 macronutrients: proteins, fats, and carbohydrates. If it's a carbohydrate that man has screwed around with, bread, pasta, noodles, candy bars, sugar, whatever.
Anything that's good, basically.
You know what? I love good food, but I don't have to have sugar.
That's true.
I don't have to have that, because I make delicious food without having to use it. And it's a mindset too. You have initially, when my patients are going through this, it's one step at a time, one SMART goal at a time, developing momentum to reach your goals. But basically what happens is the microglia, which is your brain's immune system, gets swollen with sugar when you eat sugar. And that's why a lot of people after having a lunch that's high carbs have to take a nap at 2 or 3 in the afternoon. I promise you, if you avoid carbs, like you eat a big salad with some chicken, avocado, olives, a healthy balsamic and olive oil dressing, just a little bit, you don't need a lot. Watch the calories. If you're watching calories and consumption, you will not be tired at 2 or 3 in the morning. And especially if you do the 1, 2, or 3 minute squat challenge 5 minutes after eating, because what we have found is that the large muscle, especially our skeletal muscle, actually, if you get them to contracting or burnout, they will actually contract and suck glucose in with independent to insulin, meaning you don't have to make more insulin to get glucose into your cells that need them. So if you just do the 1 minute squat, we always start with 1 minute. I do 3 because 1 minute is not enough for me. About 5 minutes after you eat, you get those muscles firing and you get the glucose into the cells independent of insulin. We've actually had type 1 diabetics significantly reduce their insulin consumption because of the exercise they're doing timed with their meal.
Crap. Is this in the course that people can find on how to do the squatting properly and all that good stuff?
So the cool thing with feelgoodguthealth.com is you belong to a Facebook group, the Feel Good Facebook group. And we have all these weird things. So yes, the basics are all there for you. Wow. So all the basics, because what we need to do, the Feel Good Gut Health needs to get people to a place where we can have a conversation on the same plane, so that people are, especially in the Facebook group, if you're putting in chats and things like that, we want everyone to know the basics. What's a good oil? How much of that oil should I be eating every day? How much protein should I be eating every day? what's a carbohydrate? What kind of carbohydrates should I be avoiding? Which
Yeah.
ones should I be eating more of? Why are vegetables so important? Should I give up dairy, eggs, and gluten? Those are the biggest foods that are contaminated and also really bad for our bodies. All of these supplements, by the way, all dairy, gluten, all the fillers, all these things that people see me for that are sensitive to things, these are clean of all of that. So that is really cool.
Nice.
Yeah. So once we get to this playing field, then we start talking about these other things like insulin resistance, cortisol resistance. We talk about why having acid in your stomach is so vital to how everything else downstream works and works well. If you take an acid medicine, an antacid medicine, you're not making acid like you used to, because it decreases production by 90 to 95%. That acid is a chemical signal to your pancreas and gallbladder to contract and make enzymes that will help digestion of food. That's why we were seeing osteoporosis earlier in women who were taking PPIs, because they weren't absorbing their nutrients.
Oh, wow. That was interfering with it, huh? I like this idea of doing the squats. So should you do the squats after you eat every time to, lower your insulin response? And I imagine, I don't know, does that help with cortisol or anything?
5 minutes after you eat, you should definitely do your squats. The thing that will help with cortisol, if you want to go down the cortisol road, yes, the cortisol and insulin are connected. But the way that they're connected is if you're stressed out all the time, your body's making cortisol, glucose all the time. It's spilling all that glucose out of the liver. And when it runs out of doing that, then it goes and breaks down skeletal muscle so that we can make even more glucose, because your sympathetic nervous system is geared towards fight or flight. Get the heck out of there. And in order to do that, you have to have glucose or energy to do that, because that's the easiest way to get ATP is with glucose. And so when your body's like freaking out all the time, which is so common in so many of my patients, we're actually creating another course for that because it's that common, but that's later. When your body's freaking out all the time, then you're going to become hyperglycemic, and then you're going to become hyperinsulinemic, and you're going to get fat. You're going to gain a lot of weight. So that's totally, they are related, but in this particular manner, the way we're discussing it right now in terms of eating, the best thing you can do before you eat is get yourself in what we call, the opposite of sympathetic is parasympathetic. The best thing you can do before you put your first bite of food in your mouth is take some big deep breaths and engage your parasympathetic nervous system, the rest and digest. There's two key ways of doing that. One is through deep breaths. The 5-5-5. Inhale for 5 seconds.
I don't actually. The 5-5-5.
You inhale for 5 seconds.
Okay.
And then you hold it for 5 seconds. And when you're holding it, I'm not holding it right now, but when you're holding it, you want to have loosened muscle. You don't want to be like, you want to be loosed and relaxed. Hold it for 5 seconds and then slowly exhale.
Does it help to take it through the nose inward and then outward through the mouth?
Yes, you can definitely do that. You can either way. It doesn't matter. I like to hear the sound of my breathing in. And I can do that with it going through my nose, and it puts me sort of in a Zen state. The other huge thing you can do is anything you do to support the vagal nerve, which is part of the parasympathetic nervous system, the biggest part. It innervates everything. It's why if you know how to deep breathe and meditate, you can literally lower your heart rate from 90 to 60 beats in a minute in a stressful situation just with your breath, because you engage the vagus nerve, which also innervates the heart, just like the sympathetic nervous system does, but in an opposite way. It lowers heart rate instead of increasing it. So one of the most beautiful things you can do is just hum. Humming vibrates your neck, which is right where the vagus nerve goes. Yeah, put your hand here and feel your, you can actually feel that vibration. So that vibration helps calm that, engage the parasympathetic nervous system. So what we say is hum your favorite song before you eat. Whatever that is. Amazing Grace happens to be one of mine.
Really?
And I can hum that whole thing and be transformed into a digest and relaxed state instead of a freaking out state. If I'm freaking, I don't freak out though. Thank God. Don't ask my kids that, but they're in college now, so they're cool. We're all cool now. But yeah.
Did you say it was the vagal nerve or the? Did you say it was
Vegas, the 10th nerve?
the vagus nerve? Okay,
Vegas,
I was going to say
like Las Vegas.
I'll just go to Einstein Brothers and get the vagal nerve.
Wrong nerve. I don't think there's one of those nerves.
Yeah, the bagel and cream cheese nerve. You haven't heard of the bagel and cream cheese nerve?
No.
I think.
But that bagel will inflame your brain. But you know what?
Really?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Because it's a bread. It's a sugar. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. There's a great book called Brain by Dr. Perlmutter, who is a great functional medicine teacher. And yeah, he wrote a great book called Grain Brain. And that kind of explains the association of sugar and your brain. And there's a test that we do in my practice called an ApoE test, for example, and that assesses people's risk for dementia. And if you have a high risk, then we give you a personalized plan that says you should eat these foods more. We try to not focus on what foods you can't have because that's kind of depressing. And plus it doesn't really serve us well. So if we tell you to eat, you can eat sweet potatoes, and those are amazing, in my opinion.
Really?
I think they're delicious. And
I've heard they're rich in
a lot of things, vitamin A, carotenes, and also I'll tell you what, for my patients who have trouble having a bowel movement every day, great. One of those every day. Great for your bowel movements. But when you go back to the gut health, one of the biggest things we talk about is leaky gut. And the leakier your gut is, the leakier your blood-brain barrier will be, which means then toxins and other things can make it to your brain even faster. So really having a nice tight gut lining, super important. Where that gut lining is, Chris, I don't know if you know this, it's 1 cell layer thick. That's it.
Really? It's that small?
Cell layer thick, yeah. And that is all that's preventing the inside world, everything you're ingesting, NSAIDs, ibuprofen, PPIs, antibiotics, toxins in your food like pesticides and herbicides, plastics in your water because you're drinking out of plastic water cups, whatever it is. That's all that's separating these toxins from the inside world, which is why 70 to 80% of your immune system is on the other side of that single cell lining.
Wow.
Because it's got to catch all these little guys and kill them.
Jesus.
Yeah. So
There's a lot of work going on in that little area.
It's a lot of work. And that's why the Feel Good Gut Health course has been life-changing for some people. And again, it's just the beginning. And then we post every Friday. What we do is we get questions all week long, and then we just answer one on Friday. It's pre-recorded. We post it out there, and it's that constant educational feedback that people need to stay engaged in something. I just got a text from a patient. I wish I could read it to you right now, but in summary, her symptoms began in 2011 after a horrible hospital stay and lots of antibiotics later. And her gut was destroyed with all the antibiotics. And she has not had dreams since then.
Really?
Now, this is really important because what's happening is her circadian rhythm was completely off.
Yeah.
And if your circadian rhythm is off, all the rest of your hormones throughout the day, estrogen, insulin, leptin, ghrelin, all of them, cortisol, all of them are affected. And so we literally 1 week after she started the Feel Good Gut Health program, she started dreaming again. And this is before we even did anything else, because I had seen her. She did the Feel Good Gut Health program all in 1 week and started it because she was that desperate. And when she's up for 2 or 3 days in a row, she has to take 5 days off and just sleep. She's on disability now. There's a lot that goes on with people's lives and how it changes. And so doing these little things are effective. So that's why I'm so glad I'm here today. I really appreciate your time in allowing me to share this with your people.
Definitely. I mean, we're learning a lot here. This is really important because, like I mentioned, we've had people on that have discussed gut health before. It's a big deal. What you put inside your body is, your body's a temple, eh? Quit putting crap in it, eh? I quit drinking in 2020 just because I was tired of feeling lethargic. And, it just kind of came to this point where I was really in tune with my body. I was eating well and I'd really started, listening to my body. And I was noticing that, a couple hours on Friday night for fun of drinking equaled about 3 days of dehydration, bloating, water gain, water release, dragging energy. And, it probably didn't help. I was turning. And so I just said, I'm not going to drink anymore. I try and stay away from a lot of sugary stuff and fake sugars. There's so much of that now. I try and be fairly careful what I put in my body, although I think I went to a taco shop last night, so I'm not sure. But it was mostly meat and onions and cilantro. Does that help? But so making these custom things, I love the idea. I know that there's been a lot of information put out about, up here, I'm visiting Utah right now, and up here in Utah, they have a lot of supplement companies that do vitamins and different things. And a lot of them, there was demand for regulation to be put on them. And I know that the senator here, I forget his name, Mitt Romney, fought off, and the senator before Mitt Romney, who I knew as a kid, they would fight off any sort of regulation or any sort of, demand to the, certification to, is this actually what you're putting into the thing? And I know many of them do put fillers in. So I like this idea of having a professional grade, expert level vitamin series, where you don't have to worry about the fillers. Like I said, for me, I worry about, fillers triggering my insulin response. But you brought up some really cool things, about the fight or flight mode, where if we're in a constant state and our cortisol is in a constant state of fight or flight mode because of the way we're behaving, eating and diet and vitamins, I can see why that would just keep you fat, even though, there's times where I'm just sitting around going, I'm eating salad all the time. Why aren't I losing weight?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And, for me, this was birthed because I felt so bad not, I'm one person. And what I realized is I need to become accessible. Everything I've done all these years needs to be accessible to everyone who wants it. I vetted I only use 3 companies for vitamins, and they're all professional grade, mostly only available to doctors. There is one that is available to the general public, but mostly available to doctors are the ones using it the most. And so it's been really, really helpful to kind of customize these packs to the best of my ability based on my experience with most of my patients. And most of my patients, even after we do all the lifestyle medicine things and have a better functioning gut, they're feeling great. We do biomarker testing. And what we found is even with all of that, they were still deficient. And one of the areas that they were really deficient in was the omega-3s. And also, and that's so important because we know when your omega-3 levels are high, it churns down, it dampens the inflammatory processes in your body. So treating things like even asthma with a higher dose of fish oil, a good quality fish oil, things like that, it's pretty remarkable. I used 4 grams of omega-3, again, under doctor's care. This is not medical advice for anyone. This is just information. But if I am your doctor and I know your history and I can put you on 4 grams of fish oil with COVID, I will, because that way I can turn down the cytokines. And so what we found is even with people doing, quote, everything right with their diet, they were still deficient in some key nutritional things that we put in the foundational packs. So we feel pretty comfortable. Everyone should be on a foundational pack, including myself. This is what I do. And I have a pretty good diet. It's pretty whole foods heavy. I'm not perfect. We don't put people in any food prisons. If you really like cheesecake or ice cream, and you want to have it once a month or whatever, whatever time frame you decide, we work with you on that. But what we don't want is this food aversion and developing these eating disorders. So we want to be cognizant of that, which our program does. We talk about that. But also we want you to feel how good it feels to eat well most of the time.
I love the idea because I'm always worried about fillers, and I always go on Amazon. You see all these sometimes fake reviews, and you sometimes wonder, and sometimes the reviews are really just kind of based on price. It's like, this is the cheapest one that gives you the most volume, and I'll look at the reviews and I'll be like, what says the most reviews? And I'm like, it also has the most lowest price, and it's like the mob what's the old rule about mob rule, or maybe everyone going off the cliff as lemmings isn't always the best idea to join them. So I like this idea of having actually a true doctor doing these things. I don't want to throw too much shade at other supplements. I don't want to say they don't do some sort of doctor reference, get sued or something. But let me ask you this: you ever found a way to overcome someone who has lactose intolerance? That's a thing I developed in later life that I really hate.
Dairy's kind of an interesting thing. So when we do dairy elimination, we completely remove dairy and then we reintroduce it one component at a time. Dairy is 3 separate components. So first of all, you want to define what it is in dairy you're sensitive to. So what you do is you separate the casein, which is a protein that's found in cheese, the whey, which is the liquid part that's left over after the cheese curdles. That's the whey protein. And then the lactose, which is the sugar in dairy. So the first thing you want to do is you want to reintroduce the hard cheese. The reason why is because casein protein has most of the lactose that's in it eaten away by the bacteria that's in the dairy. So most of the sugar in hard aged cheese is gone. So it's essentially, it's not lactose free, but essentially it's pretty well tolerated. So that's the first protein you want to reintroduce. And you do that 3 days in a row. So you could maybe be okay eating hard cheese, for example.
Yeah.
And then if that's okay, then you reintroduce whey protein. And you can do that with a lot of clean protein powders that we also have some clean vetted protein powders on our website for that reason, people that like that kind of stuff. And so I personally love it as right after I work out. So a whey protein powder from a good source, like our source is New Zealand cows, because, the A2 milk, A2 protein in New Zealand.
Yeah.
Like we're really picky about what we put on our website, right? And so if you can tolerate that whey protein, then you're like, okay, it's not the protein I'm sensitive to. Now let me try the lactose. And then for that, you would try a whole dairy food, like a really good quality A2 milk cow yogurt. Okay. And once you figure that out, if it's the lactose intolerance, then you simply do one of 2 things. One is you can take a lactose enzyme with your lactose, assuming that it's not the protein that you're sensitive to. You can take a lactose. So lactose enzymes break down the lactose sugar. Okay. So lactase breaks down lactose. The problem is if you developed lactose intolerance later in life and you didn't always have it, so it wasn't a genetic predisposition, it was something that happened later, it's almost always due to poor gut health. And the reason why is the lactase that is made to break down the sugars in the milk is on the tips of the cells, the single cell lining, that single cell lining I told you about earlier. The tips of those villi is where a lot of the lactose is being made. And if you look inside a cross section of a gut lining, it should look like thick shag carpet. And if it looks like Berber, you're probably not making a lot of lactase. And then also a lot of times that signifies the pancreas not working. And for people who, and I'm not saying you drink a lot, because I don't know how much you drink. I don't have your history.
I don't drink anymore since 2020.
But history.
I drink a lot for 20 years. Drink pretty hard.
Because the pancreas then is not making the enzymes it used to make. So then taking digestive enzymes with your meals will really be helpful. And not just the lactose, but also the other proteins and products that and carbohydrates you have to break down. So we have some really good digestive enzymes you can also use with your meals 3 times a day.
And that's, I'm looking at the website here. Do you know what it's called by chance so I can?
The Digestzyme.
Oh, Digestzyme.
It's a package of Digestzyme.
Yeah. I mean, knowing what's the quality of your vitamins is really important. Because like I say, I've heard that, like the gummy thing, you don't know if it breaks down. And I've heard of it just passing all the way through the system. Not sure what's going on with corn, but that's got its own program. But that's going to haunt me that, you were talking about how you saw supplements still in the colon that were undigested. That is crazy.
Look at our supplements. They're all powder or oils. They're all
nightmares.
Omega, CoQ10 is in an oil. These are all powders. Literally, when this little capsule falls apart, once it hits stomach acid, everything is already in its digestible state. It doesn't have to break down. So what bothers me a lot are those rock hard supplements. Like, how's it going to break down?
Yeah.
That's like swallowing food and not even chewing it and no one's going to chew a supplement.
I've had some that they're so hard, I almost feel like I'm getting gut rot. Like it's just like sitting in my gut. Sometimes I'll take it at night, and I shouldn't.
You may be keeping it out.
Yeah, probably. That would explain a few things, actually. To get in the Facebook group, they need to get the course?
Yes, they need to get the course.
Okay.
And we are actually doing a special right now for your people that are watching. And that is GUT 50 for 50% off the course. We really want to be accessible to everyone. So GUT 50.
GUT 50, you can get the thing. Let me put that down. That's one word, right? GUT 50.
GUT 50 is one word.
And then 50, the number, is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
50. For anyone who wants the course, GUT 50 will give you 50% off because we want to be accessible to so many people. We are hitting so many podcasts because we want people better. That's the bottom line. We want people better. And this is a way of doing it that's accessible to everyone. Whereas before I would go on podcasts, and unfortunately I only see people in 3 states, I wasn't accessible to everyone. So that was really hard for a while.
Mm-hmm. Well, this has been very insightful. Anything more that we need to talk about or tease out to people about what you do and how you do it?
No, I think we covered it really well. And again, I really thank you for giving me this opportunity. And I really love your platform and reaching so many people. And I would love to talk to you about anything else you ever want to talk about, because I like talking, obviously. So if there's anything else that you want to talk about, let me know that if I'm good at it. But I do a lot of gut and hormones. That's my thing, gut and hormones.
Gut and hormones. It's an important aspect. If you don't have those operating right, you're probably a non-functioning individual if your hormones aren't right. I had a girlfriend once who had Cushing's disease, and so the steroids, the natural. I didn't even know he had natural steroids. Like I'd heard of steroids for bodybuilders, but I didn't even know up until then there was regular natural steroids. And yeah, if your hormones aren't in line, you I don't know, become a crazy person like me.
Chris, did you know cortisol is a steroid?
No, I did not. See,
and that's why cortisol is great in the short term, fight or flight, get out of danger, bad in the long term, similar to taking steroids for a long time. Okay, if you need it, you have an asthma attack or a really bad, rash from a poison ivy, but bad if you're using it day in, day out. Same cortisol, great life-saving for the short term, bad if we live in stress continuously.
Yeah. Continuous stress. Sounds like you need to do meditation before you eat.
That's right. That's what we talked about.
Just do a whole meditation course, get a massage.
Hum your favorite song.
Hum your favorite song. What if it's Metallica, though? My favorite band's Metallica.
Doesn't matter. It's the vibration of
because there's I might start headbanging while I'm humming
don't do that.
Enter Sandman.
Don't do that. Just be in peace and hum your favorite Metallica song.
Sleep with one eye open. Wait, I feel like I have more cortisol now.
You might.
I'll try and find a nice piano song to hum to. George Winston or something. Yeah. Well, thank you very much for coming on the show. We really appreciate it. Give us the .coms one more time as we go out.
feelgoodguthealth.com. Use code GUT50 for 50% off, and myvitamin.com if you want these amazing professional grade supplements.
Well, thank you very much for coming on the show. Thanks for for tuning in. We always love having you guys. Boy, I learned a lot today. If you didn't learn anything from this show, you go back and freaking listen to it about 20 times because I'm a wealth of knowledge. Anyway, thanks for tuning in. Go to goodreads.com/Chris Voss, LinkedIn.com/Chris Voss, Chris Voss one, the TikTok, and all those crazy places on the internet. Be good to each other. Stay safe. We'll see you next time.